Hey guys, welcome back to Radical Faith Beyond Belief. I am your host, JC, and I am excited to share today's episode with you. We are going to be talking about the trip that changed everything. This is the very first trip that my family took to Puerto Rico, where our lives were unexpectedly changed. So let's get into it, guys. This was early 2014, maybe January, February sometime. I'm not really sure exactly when. But I had a conversation with my wife. Her grandfather had just recently passed away, and I really had the desire for our children to meet her side of the family, and particularly her grandmother, before she passed away. We weren't sure how long she would be living, so we wanted to, or I wanted to at least have some time for our kids to meet that side of the family. And so I suggested to my wife that we make a trip to Puerto Rico. Well, that was a little bit more complicated than just a conversation. Now, I know you guys are probably thinking, why in the world would that be complicated? It's Puerto Rico. It's beautiful. It's the Caribbean. It's an island. Who would not want to go there? Well, my wife's background was not necessarily what you would consider exciting. She was not proud to be Puerto Rican. She grew up in a household that was very complicated. And maybe someday I will have her on here to share her side of that story. But she was not proud to be Puerto Rican based on things that took place in her home, based on a lot of things. I won't get into too many details here, but it was a big source of discomfort for her. Not only that, we lived in a small town that was predominantly a white farm town, so having a Puerto Rican last name was not exactly idyllic when it comes to making friends and having locals like you, right? And so she was not real thrilled about the idea. After much conversation and some convincing, my wife reluctantly agreed to go to Puerto Rico so our children could meet her family. So we had planned a 10-day vacation. I told her that we would never have to go back. We just wanted to go this one time so that, our families can meet. So she did agree, like I said, reluctantly, but it was not something that she was super thrilled about. I do feel like it's important to let you guys know, like at this point, we did feel that the Lord was calling us into some sort of full-time ministry. We weren't sure what that looked like, mainly because neither one of us had any sort of formal training. We weren't really prepared for ministry. Being a missionary was out of the question. Neither one of us had family members that lived more than 20 minutes away from each other. Nobody had ever moved anywhere to do anything like that. So we were both fairly close to our families as well. So like moving out of the country really wasn't something we even considered. That's kind of like going into that. So we did know the Lord was calling us into ministry, but we didn't really know what that looked like. And also, it's important to know, like, we didn't know much about her family in Puerto Rico when it comes to their beliefs and English fluency. We knew they were Catholic. We didn't know how strong they were practicing, but it also sparked a lot of questions within us, right? Like, hey, should we attend Mass? What do we talk about? Would it be awkward being with them? We didn't really know what to expect. We were really just stepping into the unknown with very little Spanish knowledge of our own, and we weren't really sure, again, like I said, how much English they spoke. But regardless, we booked 5 plane tickets for San Juan in March of 2014. Got 5 tickets, guys, for $1,250 round trip. Don't know how that happened, but we did it. Packed our bags and off we went. There was a little bit of nervous anticipation as well, but we were ready for what we thought would be a once in a lifetime experience. And boy, were we wrong. I'll never forget stepping off of the airplane in the humid 95-degree Puerto Rican air. It just hit me like a wave, guys. I've never felt anything like it before in my life. Growing up, we did not really take large family vacations. We did not go to Florida, Alabama, all these other places people go for spring break. We just did not have the money to do that. I'd been to California a couple times as a young child visiting my uncle, but the weather there is just completely different. But when we stepped off that plane, it was one of the most amazing feelings that I have ever felt. My wife's family, they greeted us at the airport. They gave us hugs and the traditional Puerto Rican kiss on the cheeks, which I do have to admit was a little awkward at first, but you get used to it. And it actually kind of became a source of recognizing who just moved to the island and who didn't. But we'll talk about that in a later episode. We had loaded our luggage into our waiting cars, and guys, the adventure began. We had no idea what we were going to do. We had no idea what we were getting ourselves into, but we were ready for whatever was going to be thrown at us. So we connected with their family. We had a really great time, and essentially we arrived at their house, and nothing was what we had expected. The journey was about to begin, and nothing was what we expected. And those 10 days in Puerto Rico changed everything. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Radical Faith Beyond Belief. You can learn more about our ministry, The Exchange Ministries, at theexchangemen.com. You can follow us on YouTube. You can follow us on Facebook, other social media platforms as well. Read back on some of my previous blogs. Our website has access to the 2 blogs, also has access to podcasts. We would love to have you guys follow us, see what the Lord's doing. And until next time, thank you guys.